Hello, everyone. Welcome back. 2023. We made it. What a huge year 2022 was for myself and for all of the education space in itself. We are out of the pandemic and we're hoping we've rounded the corner for something new. So let's dive into what 2022 looked like for us here.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leena Marie, the Edtech Guru. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me on this journey, for all the support that you give me, and for following along. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's get ready to do this.
2023, we made it. Who would have thought we would have gotten here? We are now well over the years of the pandemic and in our third year of YouTubing. So let's talk about what exactly happened in 2022 and just having some real authentic conversations with you. You want to make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below because you will certainly not want to miss this episode. First, we'll start off 2022 with some pretty big news. The end of 2021, my husband and I actually got married. I've never talked about that before, but we did get engaged in 2020, and then we just kind of quietly got married, just the two of us. Didn't have any kind of big wedding or anything like that, but we did have that happen for us in 2022. 2022, what else happened to me? Well, I started Canva. Most of you know the story a bit, but I'm going to kind of dive in and reflect a little bit about exactly what that meant for me. Leaving the classroom, I started at CodeMonkey and spent almost 4 years there. It was a huge learning journey at first. At first, I wasn't really finding my footing, and it was really difficult to kind of settle in and be like, oh, you're only doing this one thing, and here's how to do it well without, and settling into the corporate world of learning terms like B2B, business to business, B2C, business to community, or business to basically you're just regular buyer of things. And then learning how to do sales. Never done it before, never sent emails like that. I'd never had any training in any of these things. And working at a small startup was something I had to learn on my own. So I dug my feet in, I dug my heels in, and I worked as hard as I could. And soon I was across things with social media and blogs and leading our teacher ambassador program and really doing, as you guys know, a multitude of things. I sort of became like an expert, at least in the company itself. It was kind of nice. And I loved it. But I knew I was ready for a new challenge. And so I took an opportunity at Canva. Canva, as you guys know, I've loved using Canva for many, many years. I used it way back when I was in still teaching. I actually used it to make like a flyer. And then I started using it for all of our graphics and anything that we did at our meetup group and everything that I needed. I went to Canva for like almost everything and told all my friends and my family and all of those types of things. So when the opportunity came to join Canva, I knew it was an opportunity that I needed to jump on. It wasn't without tears. It wasn't within the same sort of things that I thought about leaving the classroom. I thought about leaving Code Monkey because it became my family. There were 13 people. We knew each other well, and they would root me on from the sidelines. And it was really, really comforting and comfortable. So then I moved into Canva, and at Canva, it's a 3,000 plus employee organization. Canva has a lot of high talent individuals. When I say that, I mean people came from Google and Yelp and Facebook and Netflix. And I'm working alongside them and sitting alongside these high talented people in a room. The imposter syndrome was very real. It took me a bit of time to just realize that I did deserve to be in this room with these people and I did have a lot to offer. It was a really big up and down for me. Coming from the company where I was in industry, I was the expert to nobody knowing who I was actually much harder than I had anticipated it being. It was quite humbling and it was hard. I would lie to you and say that it was an easy experience. It wasn't that easy. The people were nice, the resources that are available, everything was great on the Canva side. But for me personally, it was really challenging just to kind of get my feet wet and kind of figure out where I belonged and how I belonged and in which way I belonged and how much was too much and how much wasn't enough. I was used to being so involved in emails and social media. And so I tried to do all of that at once, but yet that wasn't how I could have the greatest impact for our users and the greatest impact at Canva. So I had a really hard moment, really about 9 months in, where I just sat there and thought, what am I doing? Do I deserve to be here? Should I be here? What should I be doing? And I'm being just really real and authentic with you because it's important to know that even people who are seen as more successful or who have made different kinds of transitions still face hardships in the day to day. That's normal. It's just how do you overcome those hardships? So, Canva has some really good resources, some coaching opportunities, and some different things like that. And I just really sat down and just reflected and said, what do I need? How can I help? And how can I have the greatest impact? And so I just really started to dial in on that. I'm getting better. I'm still overcoming that bit of imposter syndrome, but I'm really, really excited about what 2023 holds and just how exciting the Canva for Education product is. And I just can't wait to share so much more with you guys in this coming year about Canva for Education. You'll start to see bits and pieces of that pop up, and I'm just really excited to share that. Now, if we kind of dial back a bit into moving on into the content that I was able to produce this year, I was on a couple of podcasts. I was on the Frazzled Teacher podcast where we talked about teacher burnout. All of these resources, just FYI, will be linked below in the comments. I also was on the House of Edtech with Chris Nesi. I am a longtime follower, huge fan of Christopher Nesi, and it was so great that we actually even formed a friendship this year. And I think that was really, really cool. I was on there just talking about truth bombs of EdTech and how you can kind of get into EdTech and how you can take those risks. And even though I work in an education, EdTech tech company, I'm still very passionate about helping educators in the classroom and how to kind of take your education to the next level, in addition to helping those edtech companies kind of find their footing and pathways as well, just kind of encompassing all of those types of things together. So, as far as content this year, I did really focus more so on the teacher transition side. I know that the teachers we've been seeing basically a mass exodus for a long time, but really highlighted from the pandemic. It really came under a microscope. And it was just really clear that teachers could see that there are other pathways for them besides just the classroom and that their workload just wasn't getting any easier. They were really figuring it out, really navigating that piece. And so I really wanted to help and have been trying to do my best to help teacher transitioners because when I left the classroom, there was nobody to help me. Nobody. There were a couple of people in industry, but nobody had made the same pathway and move like I had, or at least the people that I had known. Even when I went on LinkedIn, there was hardly anyone talking about it. It just really wasn't a thing at that point in time. My friend Sarah D'Amico, who was on the podcast, she actually was doing it at the same time as I was. And so we kind of had some partnerships and team doing it that way and rooting each other on. And I definitely recommend finding somebody who can be with you through the process. It's just really, really important. I did two basic sort of series this year, long running series this year. The first one was just teacher transition interviews. I talked to former teachers who had made the transition. The series first started with Stella Ignana. She is amazing. She's a customer success manager and she shares her journey and how she made the move from the classroom. Then we talked with Sarah D'Amico, who is a recruiter. She is now actually transitioned into customer success as well, but she was a recruiter and was doing that for a while. She worked at Google, she worked at Dialpad, and she worked at a Workato, is where she currently resides, working in all of those types of things and just sharing her journey. Then we talked with Paisley Landry, and Paisley is an instructional designer, and her pathway took her back to school where she got her degree in instructional design and now she was working at Tapsco and now she is working for a tech company, a health tech company, producing content for them. And then we talked with Jordan Layfield and Jordan Layfield Campbell, brand new mom. So, congratulations to Jordan. We kind of talked about what it's like to be a marketer and how she found her journey. She started on social media and then she actually moved into marketing. So, it was kind of like a natural fit for her. Talk about what she did there. Then we talked with Scott Noons. Scott is a district education advocate or a salesperson at Canva, helping our Canva for Education districts get set up and everything that they need to have success using Canva in the classroom. And we talk about his journey and how he moved from graphic design to the school systems and then moved into Canva and kind of share the hardships that also he faced during that process and what that process looked like for him. Then we kind of rounded out that teacher transition interview series with Rebecca Stump, who is now a rising teacher transition advocate. She started in contract work and now she is actually doing a lot of the content marketing side of things. So we talked with each one of them, what that looked like for them and how they decided to make the transition fully loaded with the tips and tricks of their own transition. Something that we learned from these teacher transition series is that every single teacher transitioner's journey is so different. so different. Not one single person has the exact same thing. Two really big indicators came out of each one of those series. One is hard work, nothing bypasses putting one foot in front of the other and figuring it out. It's challenging. It's really challenging to do that, and it can be intimidating, honestly. It's not like it's natural or intuitive for us to get ourselves into a really uncomfortable state. However, each one of them did do that and shared how they did it and the failures that led them to the successes that they are facing now. And then we did a teacher transition expert series where we spoke with experts in the teacher transition field. And this series is going to be ongoing, so don't think that it's going to stop. But we kicked off the very first episode in the series with Erin Looper. And if you don't know who Erin Looper is, I highly recommend it. She has a teacher transition course that's available. She also has a resume course that you can take, and she also has this amazing resume template. For a long time, there was a transition from not doing these boring old Word documents to turning them into Canva resumes and then turning them back into like these boring old Google Doc looking ones. Those are the easiest ones to get through the ATS system. The ATS system is the applicant tracking system. Not every single company has them, but it does recognize a regular Google style doc better than it does a graphic doc. It has a really hard time interpreting the keywords from that. Looks really great in a portfolio. It looks really great on your LinkedIn. You can still have it there. The more traditional style of resume has really made a comeback this year. And we speak with Erin really about how important your resume is and just some tips and tricks to kind of make that sort of a success. And we talk about what exactly she does at Amazon and what her job looks like and what that entails. And every single one of these episodes in the series leaves with tips and tricks for you to make the transition a reality. And we had some overall themes that we'll discuss here in just a moment with that. And then we talked with Danielle Latham. Danielle Latham is a product marketer. And so that basically means that she talks about the product. So when you go to a web page, what is it saying about the product, the messaging that's coming out about the product, the positioning. So that means what do they say about the product? How is the product positioned in the market? And so that's what she does. And she has been for 2 years in a row one of the top product marketers in the space. So we really spoke with her about what exactly is product marketing and some tips and tricks that she has for teacher transitioners to really make a career change or a career transition. Then we spoke with Katie Stover. Katie Stover is the founder and CEO of Hire People, a upskill, retain, recruiting company. Not only do they find talent, but they also really are working on upskilling and retaining people at your business to continue staying and working there because that's a really important thing. And Katie is a former teacher as well, but obviously she works a lot with people who are transitioning and helping to get people recruited at companies and working on the other side of it. So she brings her perspective in how to network. She shows you exactly how to do it through filtering and how to find people on LinkedIn and the importance of coffee chats and all of those types of things. Then we spoke with Lindsay Reno, and Lindsay is also a former educator, but Lindsay has her own resources around the teacher transition move, and those will be linked down in the comments as well. But we talk with her about what it's like to be a product manager. So she manages the product, leads them, what exactly that looks like, what exactly that entails. She started out in a different pathway, and we talk about that and the journey and what you actually need to thrive and succeed as a teacher transitioner. Then I did one solo interview by myself, just talking about how my career really helped me in a life post transition. And then we spoke with Gerard Dawson. Gerard Dawson is a content marketer, also a former educator turned transition expert, where he basically shared his journey on how he got into content marketing and how he was side hustling for a really long time to get where he was going and just sharing the ins and outs. And as he says, every person's story is deeply personal and their journey is deeply personal. So just knowing that as you're making the transition. And then we rounded out the year with Andrew Webb. Andrew Webb was a content marketer and now he is turned content designer. And a content designer is a UX, user interface, writing all the like little blurbs for when you're using the program and what the user interface looks like and how we write that and how we make it concise and all of those types of things. And he actually has a whole resource called the Employed Historian. He was going to be a professor of history and then actually just found that it's not as lucrative and there's only one pathway even in higher ed for people who are going to be educators. And so he just kind of found himself that way. So we really did focus on the teacher transitions, and everything that we learned from those experts is the same thing. It's hard work. You have to put one foot in front of the other, but networking and finding mentorship is extremely important to your process, and finding someone with you alongside that journey. Each one of those are massive nuggets of information that I definitely recommend you check out. And I hope that you'll share with others as well. Okay. The other series that I was super stoked to share with you guys this year was the Edtech Disruptors. We spoke with three Edtech founders, or three founders who work in the education space. Zach Silverswag of Tiny Ivy, and how Tiny Ivy is disrupting the education space with their new way of teaching and how they kind of do reading with the different dialects and how they teach reading and make it much easier for students, especially those students who are struggling to read. It's just really, really hard to learn how to read. English is one of the hardest languages, so I recommend you tune in and check that out and see how Zach is really disrupting the reading space for young learners. Then we also talked with Sneha Biswas, and Sneha has a education online case study methodology company in which they work on really that case study methodology with students, giving them real world skills, even talking about AI. And they talk about all kinds of real world applications to learning. We hear about her story about how she started in the oil and gas industry here in the United States, and how she's really a female founder disrupting the space, giving students real world skills with this after school enrichment style learning, and putting students together in a room with people from all over around the world, and they're able to communicate and share ideas, and just really creating a more global learning for students. And how we really kicked that series off was meeting with Roger Sands. He was so fun, the CEO and founder of Ybot. Roger worked at some other high tech companies. He's talked about Wi Fi automation. While we may not think of that necessarily as edtech, it's the only way that our edtech runs. It's the only way that the technology runs within the school districts, and how they're helping to automate that process to make it easier and make it more reliable for you and your students in the classroom. And so it was really fun to hear exactly how they're doing that, and how they're using Wi Fi and automation and AI to actually help with the Internet of Things. It was really, really great episode, and I'm so happy to have each and every single one of those people on. And then a couple of other ways that we actually talked about was just how you know what companies to apply to, and then a way that people can actually thwart the teacher crisis. It's not going to change. It's not going to be stopping anytime soon. Teachers got a window into what it is, and the things that are on a teacher's plate are not slowing down anytime soon. They just aren't. So what can we do to help thwart that crisis? And one quick win that I said from a very, very long time ago, and I've said it in 2020, I said it in 2021, and I said it in 2022, was giving teachers one extra day a week to work. Change the school day from Monday through Thursday, or whatever you want it to be, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, who cares what it looks like? Give teachers one day of impactful, intentional time to work with each other, and start working on a more collaborative model. If you don't start collaborating, don't start releasing the workload of teachers, this burnout isn't going to stop. It's going to continue. That's the quickest and easiest way that you can do it. Obviously, everything needs to be disrupted. The whole thing needs to be flipped over and start from scratch. The way that we're teaching, the way that we're learning, the way that everything is working, it's so ingrained into this big locked up system that it's hard to get any of the pieces out. And even when you keep adding things in, it just keeps jumbling up until there's going to be nothing else for it to do besides knock all the cards off the table. So, as you prepare for this 2023 year, you need to be thinking, how are you going to help teachers? We have to do it by giving them more intentional planning, a full day of planning, not where they're working from home and doing those sorts of things, but actually, I mean, if they are, setting the intention that it's going to be a work day in which they can have that time to work with each other is going to make a world of difference. It's just going to really change the dynamic of your school. It's going to give teachers the ability to feel empowered. And that's what we want. We want empowered educators to empower our students. There are so many different ways that we can do that. And I think in 2023, we're really going to focus and see a big shift in education for the good or for the bad. And I'm really excited to see what happens and what this brings. Coming up this year, we're going to be talking with other industry experts in the edtech space, edtech influencers, of how they're doing different things and how they are encouraging you to try edtech. And then we'll dive into some bits and pieces of how you use Canva in your classroom. I can't have a series without talking about Canva. My love for Canva runs deep in my veins. And just sharing those different pieces and parts with everyone. As you go into this new school year, set intention, make it meaningful, make it collaborative. If you're in the classroom or you're not in the classroom, looking to transition, not looking to transition, there's only one thing that's going to set you up for the best success for this school year, and that's to find your circle. Found a lot of people in my circle this year, and I'm so thankful for everyone who came on to my series. I can't even name all of the people that have made such a huge difference in this year of our series and of our YouTube network, and just being able to connect across. There's some really cool things on the forefront, and I cannot wait to share them with you. Please let us know what you want to see. Do you know someone who can be a guest? I'd love to hear from you. I love to connect just as much as you do. I'm also offering teacher transition one-on-one coaching, and I also have just free coffee chats. So if you're interested in meeting with me, wanting to learn more, how can you actually make the transition, please do reach out. We're here to help you have the best year yet. And as always, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get ready to disrupt education together. Bye, everybody. Oh, and I almost forgot. My year rounded out with the best thing I ever had was getting my new puppy. What a new experience that was, and I'm so thankful. Talk about some learning curves, y'all. Well, it was very exciting. So peep some extra photos of her right here. Thank you so much. You've made it this far. We are so thankful that you're here. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, comment below, and join us for all of our next videos. Thank you so much for joining us as we disrupt education together. See you guys soon. Bye, everybody.